So today I'm going to give you a tour of the farm. So without any further ado, let's flip this camera. So my farm is in central Minnesota. I live right here on the farm. I only own 21 acres, which is super small, so I have to buy most of my feed. And I live on a lake, so that's pretty. It's only 6 feet deep, so it's mostly just pretty to look at. I don't own a single tractor because I have virtually no land. So my only major piece of equipment is this lovely skid steer here. It's a little old and a little beat up. And a few attachments for it. It's November here in central Minnesota. Right now it's like 40 degrees out, so it's kind of amazing. The weather is awesome. So there's the barn where we milk the cows. And there's the barn where they stand waiting to be milked. I try to have most of the calves early in May, June, sometimes into July. So, hi Uno! I don't have many baby calves this time of year. So I only have 2 pieces of permanent calf housing. Hope! Hi, Hope! This is Hope. She is just about ready to be weaned. She was born before the end of September, so she's got to be almost 8 weeks old now. Hi, sweetie. So I'm trying to get her onto solid food. She's not a huge fan right now. Just yesterday I started feeding her milk only once a day so that hopefully I can encourage her to start eating that solid food. The cows don't really like the mud. This is kind of a crappy time of year for mud. You can see we just get big lumps of mud that nobody likes to walk on, myself or the cows. This lovely trailer is used solely for hauling cow shit, so that's great. This is my milk tank. It holds, it holds about 6,000 pounds of milk, 8.6 pounds per gallon, so I don't know, do the math on that. They pick it up about every 3rd day. About once a week I go to the neighbors and I get ground corn, so it's actually ground cob corn. It's that means it's the entire ear of corn, cob and all, ground up. So yeah, there's a lot of corn in here, but there's also a lot of fiber in there too. I just need to stop over and check on Miss Sugar. Sugar is just a few days out from her due date, and judging by a few different signs, I think she's pretty dang close to giving birth. You might see it in the next 24 hours or so. Hi, Sugar. Sugar's a super friendly cow. She's one of the favorites around here. Hi, sweetie. How's that baby doing? You gonna have another girl? She's had 2 girls in a row, and they're both farm favorites. Let's see, it's always important to look at the rear end if you're watching for that. And look at the way she's breathing. You see how she's breathing quite heavily? I would not be surprised if we have a calf by the end of the day. Over here, we have what we call heifers and dry cows. So these are cows that are not making milk. They are too young. But most, if not all of them, are pregnant. So when they do when they do have a calf, they will start to make milk. And then I have a couple of what's called dry cows, like Robin here, and Buttercup. Hi guys. Want to say hello? Say hello, Robin. So that means about 60 days before their due date, we stop milking them, which is called drying them up. And they just get a nice vacation until they have their next baby, and then we start milking them again. And that allows for them to produce high quality colostrum, which is something that all mammals make. It's really important, and it's the very first milk after giving birth. So those animals are in the barn right now, but most of my animals stay pretty much outside year round. So we'll go say hello to the milk cows now. Now, during the type of season that we have grass, they are out on pasture grazing all season, but it's November in Minnesota, so there's not much grass anymore. So what I do, I just put out all this nice bedding out here. I get to hang out with that. I kind of realized that my barns are really old. You know, they're over 50 years old. They're not doing well. And honestly, in the winter, it's warmer outside the barn than it is inside the barn because they can be in the sun. And they really enjoy that. You know, they don't like cold rain. And they don't like wind. But they don't mind cold weather at all. They're very large, hairy beasts. And actually, heat is much harder on them than the cold is. They can't sweat, you know, like dogs. They can't sweat. They're covered in hair. And because their digestive system works via fermentation, they're actually creating a huge amount of heat all the time. So they can't cool off very well. If you've been on my Twitter page, you may remember that Miss Artis here hurt herself in a humping accident. And while she is not fully recovered, she still walks with a limp. The vet's most recent diagnosis is that she may have torn a muscle. I put her back out in the pen with everybody else, and she seems to be getting along just fine here. You know, I spent about a month with her with special treatment, and I didn't see a lot of progress one way or the other. And I actually felt like she would do better if she got more exercise. So I decided to put her back out with everybody else, and she seems to be loving it. She was so mad that she couldn't go out with her friends before. And speaking of humping, see Priscilla and Siren walking away there. They have orange patches on their butts. That started out as a gray patch, but when they hump each other, it rubs it off, sort of like a scratch-off lottery ticket. And that tells me that they've been spending a lot of time humping, which means that they are about to ovulate, and I should artificially inseminate them. So we will be inseminating Siren, Priscilla, and probably Brown Sugar all this evening before milking. And cross your fingers that they take. I mentioned that I have sort of a seasonal schedule, and this is awfully late in the season, so I would really prefer them to take at this point. Otherwise things could get hairy. Katrina here is, I think she might be my oldest cow, or dang close. Hi, Katrina. So anyway, there's no grass growing, so instead we feed hay. Hay is just grass that was cut and dried and then put in a big round bale. And they love it. There's always plenty of problems with... Oh, see, this is the problem. They think it's milking time because I came out to say hello, and now they think that it must be milking time, and they're all going to head back to the barn to get milked. Sorry, girls, it's not actually milking time. Carmen here is one of my youngest milk cows and my smallest milk cows. She's sweet. About 2 years old is when they have their first baby and start making milk, but Carmen was actually 1 year and 10 months old, so she was a little on the young side. And most of my cows are what's called Ayrshires, but Delilah there with the speckles is a milking shorthorn, and Nutmeg over here is an Ayrshire Jersey cross. So that's kind of fun. I like Nutmeg. She fits in really well around here. So all my cows are actually, or most of them, are purebred registered cows. Rosa here has just a little limp. It's been bothering her for quite a while, but she's gotten around despite it. I've tried a few things to treat it. I haven't had much luck, but she has been a total trooper through it, and in fact, she is pregnant now, which is awesome. Oh, and I do have one cow. Hi, Spirit. You see Miss Princess back there, the black one? So 96% of all dairy cows in the United States are Holsteins, which is why it's really important to keep these heritage breeds up to keep some genetic diversity in the population. Now, Princess is actually half Holstein, half Ayrshire, so she looks quite typical of what you'd see on an average dairy farm. But around here, she kind of stands out. That's pretty funny. That's about my biggest cow and my smallest cow standing next to each other there, Summer and Princess. So we aim for them to have a calf once a year. And that's the same thing that would happen in nature. It's just that in nature it would be very seasonal, and here on the farm it doesn't have to be. On my farm I do it seasonally, but that's just a choice that I've made just to help myself with labor. That's my trash pile. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can see I live on quite a busy road, so that's fun. And it's pretty much just farmland in every direction. And out here are my pastures, my whole 21 acres plus 15 that I rent. We just get under this electric fence and we'll go visit the babies. So I'm currently milking, what am I milking? 53 cows, I think. And then since I said they don't start making milk until they're 2 years old, that means I have a lot of younger animals coming up. So all the babies born this spring are over here in this pen, except for a lot of the males, which I sold. They are at a couple different neighbors' places. I like to sell them to people I know so I can keep up with them. I'll take you over there someday and we can see some of the big boys. And they're raised for beef, usually. I also raise a few. Not everybody uses artificial insemination, or maybe they'll use artificial insemination on part of their animals, but not all of them. So I do have a fairly good market for bulls from some of my better cows to use for breeding. All right, let's climb over this gate and go visit the babies. They must all be hiding in the barn today. They had an adventurous weekend, that's for sure. So they're born about 100 pounds, and by the time they're 2 years old, they're going to be 1,200 pounds. So these girls are a few months old. They're 300 to 400 pounds for the most part. Hi, Alberta. Hi, Maybe. They're not as friendly as the milk cows yet. It takes several years to earn their trust. Some of them are getting there. Maybe's getting to be friendly. Yeah, what a good girl. She's a sweetie. I like her a lot. Hey, everybody. What you doing? What you doing? You're all right. So I try to color code my ear tags every year. So you can see Archie here. He has an orange ear tag. That's because he's a male. And there's Mitch. So anyway, all the girls have pink. And all the boys have orange from this last year. Does this remind you of anyone? Remember when I introduced you to Nutmeg? This looks exactly like Nutmeg, doesn't it? That's because this is her baby girl. So she's actually 3/4 Ayrshire, 1/4 Jersey, but excuse you, Brandy. It's quite the cough. There's Lefsa. I love that name. It's the best. Her mom's name is Lena. Anyway, going around the corner here. I know this isn't the best setup, but I decided that I needed more space for these girls, so I opened it up around the corner here. You can hear my electric fence over here. That is how we keep everybody in. So, for example, Owen, his mama's a good girl, so I have considered keeping him for a breeding bull. Hi, Owen. Calvin is another one. Some of the other cows, so you remember Delilah with the speckles, the milking shorthorn? That's her baby girl. And, where'd you go, Duchess? Princess, the black and white one. Well, Duchess here is her baby girl. Excuse me, Bree. Other friendly cow is Bree. This is actually Sugar's granddaughter, her first granddaughter. Yeah, you might have a new auntie within the next day or two. The whole family is just outrageously friendly for no apparent reason. I mean, even when nobody works with them, they are just super friendly. It's awesome. And Bree is clearly following in her grandma's footsteps. She even looks like her. Don't you, sweetie? Anyway, that is your farm tour for the day. I will be sure to update you guys if and when Sugar has her baby girl. Hi, maybe you back for more? And remember, if you ever find yourself in central Minnesota, feel free to visit. You can come cuddle some cows. And maybe someday soon I'll show you how milking works. And all that fun stuff. Bye-bye.